I need a second. All right, I would like to call this meeting to order and we'll start with the pledge, please. With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. If we could have roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Smith,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Stelter. Trustee,
Excused absence.
yes, ma'am. Trustee Check. Here. Trustee Heck. Here. Trustee Hunter.
Here.
Trustee Majorado
Here.
and Trustee Carno.
Here.
Have a quorum.
Thank you. The next step is approval of the agenda, and I'd like to ask for a change to the agenda, and that is ask that item number 6, that we address it prior to items 4 and 5. I think my staff report on the STR is probably something important for us to read, to talk about before we get to the resolution and the facilitator agreement. So I just, somebody wouldn't mind making a motion to that effect.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the agenda with action item number 6 moved to be right after action item 3.
Correct.
I'd second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And did it change the password? Uh-oh, it did change.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not for me. Aye.
Okay, thank you. I believe that was unanimous. And there are 2 announcements that I have. If anyone else has any announcements, please chime in. But there is still an open seat on the Zoning Board of Adjustments for a 3-year term. The Zoning Board of Adjustments only meets when there is a public hearing before it, and you do not have to be an in-town resident to serve on this board. Please have your applications to the town clerk by April 7th at noon. And we also have an opening on the Planning Commission for a 2-year term to be held by a community member. Planning Commission members must live in town and be able to attend a monthly meeting that is held on the first Monday of the month at 6 p.m. If you're interested in filling this seat, please fill out and turn in an application to the clerk's office by April 8th at noon. And that application can be found on the town website at the drop-down menu that says, I want to, ... You drop down there and there's a form to allow you to, and I believe it's a fillable form, that can be emailed to if you want to get on a commission. So I encourage anyone who's interested to please submit an application. And any other announcements?
I don't have an announcement. I have a question, and I may have screwed up in approving the agenda because I don't see public comment on that. Anywhere, and that usually falls between
does.
announcements and the consent agenda, correct?
Yes.
Our parliamentarian's not here. Should I just make another motion to add that?
Yeah.
So you're
Just yeah, I think that's a good.
I move to add
Thank you.
public comment to the agenda right now after announcements and before the consent agenda.
Do a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that catch. I did not notice that. Anyone have any announcements? No? Okay, then we will move on to the ghost agenda item, which is we always offer anyone in the audience or on Zoom that if they have anything they'd like to speak on that's not on the agenda, that they have 3 minutes to speak on that. If they come up to the podium and say their name and whether they live in or out of town. Is anyone in the room? Seeing, yes, go ahead, Shireen.
Madison, in-town resident. I'd just like to speak a few words on the last 2 weeks ago, the meeting for the members of the trustees with the lawyer Clay. And I found it very odd that Clay made an emphasis on that trustees should just follow along, as if they have no mind of their own and they have no words of their own. And I thought that was kind of insulting for the town people of Paonia, that their trustees are kind of, in a lot of ways, muzzled and have to watch their words when they speak. And I'm not talking about insults or, harsh words or something like that, but if they have something to say that is not going along with the group, they should not be penalized. And that's what it was sounding like from the lawyer of town of Paonia.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Like 3 minutes? I don't see any hands on Zoom.
No, me.
Thank you. Hang on 1 second. Thanks. Sorry. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. The first is the March 10th regular meeting minutes and the March 24th disbursements. Does anyone have any comments or corrections on either of those consent agenda items? Okay. Seeing none, can somebody did you anything? Okay. Can somebody make a motion to accept the consent agenda or approve the consent? I move that we approve the consent agenda. There's a second. Seconded by trustee. All in favor? Aye.
I.
Thank you, that passes. Stefan, we have Stefan on Zoom. Administrator Nguyen, did you have anything you wanted to do with the department scorecard?
I don't. I know we had discussed giving you one, but I would like to pull this one off the agenda. I know it's been approved and passed, but it'll be in staff reports for our next April meeting.
Okay, thank you. Then with that, we'll move on to actions and presentations. Our first item of business is consideration of setting a work session for April 14th, 2026 at 5 p.m. to discuss the Smith Center Operations Agreement, which was going to be presented by Town Clerk Better, who is also sick tonight. Administrator Nguyen, do you have anything you'd like to add? We do have a staff report on page 23 from Clerk Better.
Yeah. So at our, we recently held another meeting with what was the Smith Center committee or separate board. And during that meeting, we talked about all of the things that we need from them in order to be able to draft an agreement. So that's kind of what we're waiting on. What we'd like to do is have that information so that we can draft an agreement and then talk about it at a workshop. And that's essentially what this is doing. It's presenting what staff have been doing behind the scenes while we're doing a lot of repair work at the teen center, bringing it into state code compliance for electrical and plumbing, and then fixing some items that needed to be done with a contractor. So, but this is saying, hey, we'd like to schedule a work session on April 14th. That seemed to be the time that everyone at that meeting could also join and participate. And so that's what we're asking today of the board is to schedule that workshop or that work session with the Paonia Youth Center or the Ellen Hanson Smith Community Center board members. And I should say they were really clear to say it's no longer called the Teen Center. It is the Ellen Henson Smith Community Center.
Any comments, questions from the board? Karen, I saw your finger first.
Okay.
Trustee Torno, sorry.
Yeah. I just was wondering, is this just like an information session? Is there gonna be a proposed operations agreement for people to chew on? How do you see this running and are the other invitees, are we all equals in the room and discussing things?
Yes and yes. So, and I mean, that's the simple answer, but yeah, we're still gathering information from like the Red Feather Bowmen on what their use of the facility, needs to look like in an agreement. I think the Ellen Hanson Smith Center Board also had some things that they wanted to make sure was included in an agreement. We need that, staff need that so we can draft that agreement. So it's ready for the 14th for that discussion. And, this is really a work session where both groups are getting together to talk about everything.
Yeah,
Trustee Hunter, do you have a question?
So my only comment is I won't be here.
Okay. Okay.
And, yeah,
Trustee Hack.
what do you do with the has-been trustees? I mean, do we show up on the 14th?
Yes, you're still, as far as I know, you are still a trustee until the new trustees are sworn in later that night.
Okay, so.
Yeah, as I think I have that correct.
They come on the 8th, so. I thought I was a has-been on the 9th.
Yeah, you're not, you're not.
I thought the swearing in happened at the second meeting.
I think it's the 14th. You know?
I believe the new ones are sworn in at the second meeting.
Oh, the second meeting. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's in my back.
Okay, well, in that case, you're not a has-been.
Neither are
Right,
you.
right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be there for that meeting, the second meeting of the month, but.
Okay, on the 20th, somebody will, okay. And I stand corrected. For some reason, I was thinking it, because the election is on the 7th. So I guess hold that thought. But even if the swearing in is on the 14th, you're still a trustee until that happens,
Okay.
based on my experience getting sworn in, but we'll see what date that is. I thought it was 14th. Anyway, okay. Any questions, comments from the audience on this topic? And I don't see any on Zoom. Okay. Well, with that, unless there are other questions, comments, someone like to make a motion?
I'll move that we have a workshop on April 14th concerning Ellen Hanson Smith Community Center at 5 o'clock.
I'll second.
I'll second.
I got first trustee Hunter, second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. Thank you. Our second item of business is consideration of lease purchase agreement for the new street sweeper and disposal through trade-in of existing street sweeper. And I'm going to turn this back to you, Town Administrator Nguyen.
Thank you. So this was presented at the last meeting and we moved forward with starting that lease purchase agreement. It's on this agenda because this is the lease purchase agreement with the amortization schedule. There are still some things that will need to be done that we've talked with our legal counsel about. One of the lease agreements sentences says that there needs to be with that municipal or the legal counsel opinion an attached resolution. After talking with our attorney, it may just need to change that language instead of having an attached resolution. I was hoping he was here tonight, but he isn't. So he could give more information about that. Mayor, do you remember what page that was on?
Yes. Exhibit B is on page 36.
On page 36.
Talking about the same exhibit.
Oh, but we're talking page 34, Exhibit A, the municipal certificate, says that hereby certify that this. Nope, you're right. It is 36, page 36. That it says an executed counterpart of resolution number dated. That's language that could be changed. Or our attorney Clay suggested it could be changed. The recommended motion is structured in such a way that it would give us the authority to move forward with this and get all of the documents in line. If we have to do a resolution, once you pass this, we would be able to do that at our next meeting, but this would at least start getting that street sweeper here and the trade-in process.
Questions? Content regarding this sweeper? Sure, trustee Hack.
I finally got around to reading all the fine print on it. There is some restrictions, but I don't think they amount to anything.
I agree.
We can't lease it out. We can't loan it to another town.
Mhm.
sounds fair.
Probably a normal lease agreement as I was reading it. Yes.
Yeah.
And trustee Turner.
Yeah, so given what you were just saying, Administrator Nguyen, if we move to approve the lease purchase agreement tonight, you're saying we might come back and need to do an additional action at next meeting, but tonight is still the purchase. We're considering the approval of the purchase agreement.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct.
Any questions from the audience? Questions, comments? And nobody's on Zoom? Okay. I just wanted to make sure that trustee Medrado, did you have any comments or questions, since I can't really see your hand or anything?
No, no
Okay.
comment, no question.
Okay.
Can you hear me fine?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm clear. With that, if there's no other questions for the administrator, would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the lease purchase agreement with Timco and authorize town administrator and town attorney to execute all necessary documents.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That passes unanimously. Moving on to item number 3, consideration of change order number 2 for KLM. And this has Director Polis listed as the person to discuss it, but I imagine would you and Administrator Nguyen like to do a
Correct.
back and forth? Do you want to start or ask?
Yeah, so this, just kind of basic background, KLM is the inspector for the tank relining project, not the contractor themselves. So KLM's contract is based on hours, not days. So we, to get MPC to the end of their contract date, KLM needed a few more hours, and we went ahead and just took the date of March 24th, which was the substantial completion date for MPC, which is today. So that's kind of where I left off there. If you want to jump in stuff and talk for you, but.
And if you'll go to page 49 of the packet, I give a more in-depth analysis of our financial status on this project. If you recall, our financial or our estimated engineer's opinion of cost was $2,301,300. And that's for everything that was site work and the tank rentals and inspections. It was all everything. It was also the land purchase. Costs to date, our tank construction or that tank rehabilitation by MPC, original contract was $916,250. We have change orders totaling just under $60,000, resulting in a not to exceed value of $976,146. We've made about $640,000 in payments to date, which means we're expected to get this last invoice here probably pretty soon for about $338,000. KLM Engineering, that's what this change order is today. Their original contract was for $97,860. It was for hours worked, not days. That's why there's that disparity between MPC and KLM. MPC took longer to get things done, and that's why we're doing a change order for KLM because they have to inspect MPC's work. So with this new change order, that is going to be a total not to exceed amount of $163,723. We've already made about $88,000. With this new one, we would have about $76,000 left to pay. I'm sure there's going to be an invoice pretty soon because they've already done the work. The temporary tank is something where we're already kind of over budget for that particular line item, but not the project as a whole. As of right now, we're about $20,248 over our anticipated cost, which was $300,000. Site work has already been talked about. I'm not going to go into that. It's well past. We did it in 25. But the total financial position where we are right now, we've incurred about $1,420,930. in costs. We've got another 412,890 obligated under our existing contracts, and our total project cost right now is going to be about 1,833,820. I want to reference that number back at the top again. The estimated construction cost was 2,301,300. After all of these change orders, we're looking at a total project cost of $1,833,820, even though we've had change orders. We're managing this project and these projects pretty well. We did get off to a bumpy start, but our team has really learned what's needed, and we've really been managing these projects pretty good. So I just want to throw that out there. That's why there's another change order from KLM. But again, it's not going to push us towards that, actual estimated cost of construction.
Thank you. Questions? Yes, trustee Turnbull.
Administrator Wayne, could you just talk me through the math? So let's say on change order number 2, so that total 32,000 and change divided by 1568 is 21 days. So that's 3 weeks, but how is it we're compensating the inspector? Is it just per day that they show up?
Yeah,
Is it
you may have
potentially
missed.
7 days a week?
Yes, it could be. So this is different than MPC. MPC has days on their contract. KLM is hours. So we're paying somebody hourly to be there. They may not work a normal 8-hour day. They could work a 14-hour day. But there's always an inspector on site while MPC is doing the work. And so that's what they're doing, is doing inspection. That's why it doesn't really translate well into days, because we're talking hours.
But the payment is just to be based on how many days the inspector needs to be on site while work is going on. So this is
That's right.
max,
Yes.
not to exceed amount.
Yeah, it's a $1,568 per day. That's what they're charging for inspection services. That's actually broken down into hours. When we get the invoices, they're pretty detailed. They show what KLM has been doing as far as inspection services are concerned.
Okay, thank you. Other trustee questions? Anybody in the audience? Any questions or comments? Okay. Could you just give us an update on the status, since they were supposed to be done today?
Yeah, they're not substantially complete. I have refused to give any additional days to MPC since they made the decision to demobilize off site for a couple of months and then come back. That was through no fault of us. It was not an act of God. It was the contractor's means and methods. And because of that, I have been pretty firm on we are giving no more days. What that means is, starting tomorrow morning, for every day that they're not done, we hit them with liquidated damages. And I believe that's $700 a day for substantial. And then once final hits, which is 30 days from today, if they're not final, they haven't passed their final inspection, it's $1,500 a day. So we're holding them to it. They say that they're going to need until the 27th. And the last pictures I saw and the last visit I took, they hadn't, excuse me, they hadn't yet buttoned up the tank. So the tank still had a door in it.
Thank you. Okay, more questions?
Yes, so does that mean may need to compensate the inspector? We're gonna need another change order on that?
Could be, but I think our contract was pretty clear that for every day that they're over, there's liquidated damages, and they pay for their own inspection services for every day after. So MPC would then have to start paying KLM.
So is there a dollar amount that needs to be in this resolution, the change order? not to exceed amount, or we're just approving the KLM project inspectors to continue past March 24th?
So right now we're asking that it's on page 49. It is with this new change order number 2, a not to exceed amount of $163,723.
So is that shown on page 48 as well? No, 47. This 47 has totally hourly not to exceed, so total change number 1 and total change number 2. Are we looking at 2 change orders or number 2?
No, we're looking at number 2. You're only looking at 1 change order for number 2. We've already done change order number 1.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to make
Yeah.
that clear. So then we're, okay.
Yes.
So today, the trustees are being asked to approve $32,928.
That's
Simply.
correct.
Change order 2, okay. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Trustee.
just to clarify, that 163 includes the original agreement plus both change orders.
Correct, right, is that correct?
Yeah, we're amending that original agreement. So now, because that had a not to exceed of $97,860. Change order number 1, added about 33,000 to that. Now with change order number 2, we're amending that original agreement again for a not to exceed of $163,723.
But the motion tonight would be change order number 2 for $32,928.
For a not to exceed price of $163,723. Each change order is not its own contract. They are changing the original contract. So that's why it's still a not to exceed of 163,723.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve change order number 2 for KLM Engineering in the amount of $32,928 for a project total not to exceed $163,723.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. That's a unanimous agreement. We'll move on to the number 6, which I had asked us to change, which is on page 60 of the packet. And the reason I wanted this to go ahead of the other 2 sections, because in my reading of seeing some of the agenda packets and I watched the last meeting, I thought it was important to reaffirm through my mayor's report what the trustees had asked the committee to do back in February. And the reason this came up specifically is they asked 3 questions. So at their March 10th trustee meeting, the short-term rental ad hoc committee asked for the board of trustees to approve their exploration of the following administrative functions. 1, licensing fee structure and the associated fee amounts necessary to reimburse the town for staff time and public resources. 2, requirement for exterior door dimensions related to life and safety standards. 3, requirement that each licensed STR designate a local authorized representative located within 60 minutes driving time who is available 24 hours a day to respond to complaints and property issues. So I wanted to go back and make it reaffirm what the trustees' direction was at their February 24th meeting. And that is also on page 60 of my memo. But I thought it was also important to make clear what the history is. So there was a citizens initiative submitted for the short-term rental. And it was very prescriptive as to what the town could and couldn't do in terms of its administrative functions. And our attorney wrote a memo, which I attached here, to make it clear that the Colorado Constitution will not allow citizens to make recommendations on administrative functions of a municipal government. It can only be legislative. So those 3 questions that were sent to us by the short-term rental committee are not within their purview. The 7 things that they were asked to do by the trustees are more policy and legislative. So I wanted to reaffirm that. And also on page 61, I thought it was really important, and this is if the trustees agree with this, that that in the meantime, in order for the town to spend money potentially on a facilitator, and the time that's being taken from volunteers and trustees for these meetings, I thought it was important to make it clear that in the meantime, in order to ensure the best use of staff time, citizen volunteers, including the trustees' time, and spending of public funds, it must be understood that the committee has not been tasked to write an ordinance. It has not been tasked to create a phased approach to regulating short-term rentals, and it has not been tasked with scrutinizing the content of any alternative ordinance presented to them, with the sole exception that if that proposed ordinance has policy provisions in the draft that align with the 7 topics they've been directed by the trustees to work on, those would be reasonable things to talk about with the committee. But it is not the committee's place to go into fees, licensing, how to enforce code, what the police can do, et cetera. So I wanted to ask for the trustees if they agree with the content of this so that it's clear as to what are the next steps for the short-term rental committee and what would they be doing that would require facilitator help. And the resolution that is next thing before us is the resolution to extend the moratorium till the end of this year. So Trustee Turner.
Yeah, I think this is very clear and very helpful. I am curious to what extent, pretty earlier in the process, you think that the committee members were shared this had access to this information and understanding.
They have the memo.
They
The
have-
24th was provided to them.
In the
trustee
24th
memo.
of,
The February 24th
February
memo that
24th.
everyone approved, which outlined what they shouldn't work on and what they should. That was made available.
and the policy versus, policy legislative versus administrative,
That was not,
that was not
but it
clear to them.
It was not brought to them simply because contextually it was a little hard to understand, but I knew this was the time to make it clear. Because that citizens petition was rejected. Because much of it was administrative. Any other questions of the trustees? Questions? Oh, yes.
Sorry, I
Trustee
just-
Quinn.
So you went back and watched the most recent meeting. Did you have any trouble with the audio?
Yes, it was terrible.
But I mean, yeah, because I went back and I couldn't hear anything up until like 17 minutes in. Like there was nothing.
Oh, really? I could hear.
Could you?
I could
Okay,
hear,
so
but it was
might be a
quite
problem.
garbled and it was tough. It was not well done. So I don't know if that's what we all sound like when you all go to YouTube. I hope not, but it was difficult, but I did get to hear.
Okay.
Comments from the audience or on Zoom. Yes. Come on up, Artie.
Marty Derlin, I live in Paonia, I work for the Spotlight, I always wanna say it's shopper. So I feel like those 3 things were key and prime among the reasons given for the defeat of the last ordinance. I'm just gonna say that, and I think that the committee has understood that and is trying to address it.
Okay, thank you. I might add that the committee is serving at the pleasure of the Board of Trustees. This is a citizens committee, so I wanted to make that clear in this.
Right, you don't wanna be defeated again.
That's all you say. Anybody else? Christina? Oh, on Zoom?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
See none.
Oh, they said Christina. Okay, you see none. Thank you. Okay. So with that, I don't think mine was, well, I don't know. What I was looking for is a reaffirmation of the tasks assigned to the short-term rental ad hoc committee, but if somebody would like to make a motion to that effect, it might keep the progress going.
Sure, I'll move that we reaffirm the task assigned to the short-term rental ad hoc committee.
Second,
Second.
Trustee Hicks seconded, all in favor?
I,
Thank you. Okay, now we're back to numerical order, and this is consideration of resolution 0426, extending the STR moratorium, which is on page 50. So we're backtracking. Administrator Wind, are you comfortable? Describing that?
No, I'm not comfortable. I'm sick.
Yeah, I meant emotionally.
Yeah, I can do this. So this is a resolution extending the moratorium. One of the things that came out of our last maybe two STR meetings ago is that as a committee, we know that our work isn't going to be done before this um, uh, before this moratorium has been lit or expires. So we're asking for another extension of that moratorium through the end of this year or until an ordinance is in place. So I think that's going to be an important caveat is it would be, um, to that this would go through the end of the year or until an ordinance is in place.
Until an ordinance is in place? I don't agree with that, Stefan. I don't know that you want this ad hoc committee to go on indefinitely. Why till the ordinance was in place? Would you want, because you're gonna have to modify this to do it. Modify the draft resolution here will need to be modified to do that, but what's your reasoning?
If we're done by October, this moratorium could be lifted instead of
What if
waiting
there
until.
isn't? So are you essentially saying that if there isn't an ordinance by the December 31st, you're not suggesting it continue beyond the 31st?
No, it would be highly unusual that a resolution skips over calendar years.
Okay, so could you look at section 4 and see if it needs to be modified? Of the resolution, sorry.
No, it says unless sooner repealed. So the extended temporary moratorium enforcement of regulation of the rental of homes or rooms and homes imposed by this resolution shall expire on December 31st, 2026, unless sooner repealed.
so just to clarify that, do you, if an ordinance passed in October, whatever, would that it then come to the board to decide whether or not to lift the moratorium at that time or to let it continue through the end of the calendar year?
Right. So, and even if there was an ordinance passed at the first meeting of October, it wouldn't take effect until that same date, 30 days later in November. So, we're talking about a month in between, in between. Um, but yeah, any sort of repeal then would need to go to the board.
I do wonder if, so that leaves it kind of hanging. The sooner an ordinance passes, the sooner potentially enforcement would begin. I just think that maybe the community would prefer to know which way the cards are gonna fall.
I don't think you can do it otherwise than what's here. Personally, because this is saying moratorium's in effect until December 31st.
Unless otherwise,
Repealed, and it would have to be another resolution, which is very doable in my opinion. But I think when I looked at this, I really wanted a date certain.
Mhm.
And I thought, and a lot of our discussions were till the end of the year. So I thought it would be important that this resolution made that clear. Yes.
Administrator Wynn, you stand up.
Okay, go ahead. Administrator Wynn?
So we're talking in our committee that if there isn't, when an ordinance is done, that we're not like it's not like it goes into effect immediately. We'll probably build something like similar to that first one where there was a period of time where, you know, enforcement wasn't happening, but it'll build to something. Like a grace period within that ordinance would be something that our committee was talking about.
Just like the original one had a grace period for it to go into effect. Is that what you're referring to? Okay,
Yes.
okay. All right, other comments, questions? Did I already ask the audience? Yeah, I did, because Marty came up.
Better ask too much then.
Yeah.
Mayor, you haven't asked for public comment on this item. You did on the previous item, so this is the
Oh.
resolution now itself.
Oh, and it was the other item. Okay, sorry. That wasn't. Anyone have comments on the resolution? Okay, seeing no hands and no one in the audience, okay. Trustees, any more questions, discussion?
I move to adopt resolution 04-26.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Right, that passes. And then we move on to the consideration of agreement for a facilitator for the ad hoc short-term rental committee. And this goes back to you, Administrator Nguyen.
Well, this was probably the most contentious part of our meeting last week, was trying to determine a facilitator for us to move forward with. We were happy with both responses from both Mr. Brown and Dev. You know, we thought they were both very capable at doing what we needed. Um, we did have some questions that I'm not sure if they were answered or not, that came out of that committee. I don't even know if the facilitators were given those questions. Um, this past week has been kind of a blur. It looks like they were invited to attend, but there were some questions that were put together, and I can't for the life of me remember what they were. So I'm hoping that one of our other committee members would remember.
On page 55 of the packet, it looks like there was a follow-up questions.
I can speak to it because I just watched the meeting.
Oh, good, go ahead, please.
So the additional question was what went out via email from Town Clerk Vetter about their willingness to provide an executive summary between meetings. I see that did go out. The only response I saw was from Mr. Brown. I did not see one from the other candidate.
So it wasn't included in the pack. Don't know if anything was received. So we have responses from both applicants under consideration for the first set of questions, but only one response for the final question that went out March 19th and asked to be returned on the 20th, which it was.
Yeah, and thank you for jogging my memory there. We did believe that it was going to be pretty important that there was like an executive summary given to us between those meetings for us to review.
What it? Executive summary. Oh, okay, made by the facilitator. Gotcha.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. Which is what Mr. Brown responded to on page 55, I believe.
And that's what I'm seeing. I do see that in the packet.
Yes,
I'm not clear what we're being asked tonight. This says consideration of an agreement. Or are we being asked to select between the two candidates?
Both. um, so I don't know why there wasn't a staff report done with this one. But what we asked for was that we couldn't make the decision. We had these extra questions that we needed answered, and we were hoping that we would get responses. I mean, if Mr. Brown is the only one that responded to those questions, I mean, that's something to consider, but if that were the case, then what we would, if there was a motion made and it was to select one of the facilitators of the other, I would ask that there would be language included that allows staff to work with the facilitator to get an agreement in place. And we'll report on that once it's done at our next meeting.
Mayor, if I might.
Oh, yes, sorry, just making a note.
So it appears that the outstanding question was whether or not they'd be willing to prepare an executive summary after the meetings. Is that correct? Administrator Wynn, it's that one outstanding question.
That's correct.
And so we know that we've had one response, that's probably the clerk's out and how else, we don't know if the other respondent answered, but that's a pretty yes or no thing. It seems like, assuming they both say yes, if they, in that situation, the committee still wasn't capable, or you don't feel that they're able to make a decision between the two?
Correct. We found them both to be equally capable.
But we don't have an answer from the other, whether or not they would do an executive summary. And there's a $10 difference per hour. That's kind of the difference.
But, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, trustee Hunter.
Again, in watching the meeting, they did some comparisons of how much time each candidate was saying they would put in, and the higher price one was going to do less time commitment. So it really worked out. The cost would be kind of a wash. I do see in Town Clerk Vetter's email that she requested the information be back by noon on the 20th, which was Friday. And Mr. Brown responded, it looks like, on the 19th.
But town clerk's not available right now, we don't.
Right.
One way or the other.
Right.
I'm gonna say that she probably didn't get it because she and I had been talking about this packet up until Saturday. So I think if she'd gotten the email, we would have known about it.
Okay. I mean, I can understand it could be a hard decision if all things were equal, but I don't know that we'd be any better decision body than the committee members, is it?
Do you want to address that, Administrator Wynn?
Yeah, I've said over many times I don't want to speak for this committee, just the way that we're structured. But I know that it was it was something that we didn't feel strongly either way. But if I were to approach this from an objective standpoint, there was a really important question that we asked about executive summaries, and only one of the two answered that question. And in the affirmative said that he could do it, and then to add another hour to his estimate for completing that summary. I think if we're trying to be objective and we have to go with what we call, like when we do an RFP, the most responsive and responsible bidder, this would fit into that most responsive and responsible bidder type.
Yes, trustee Hunter.
And I would just add that the buck stops with us. Sure. I mean, ultimately.
And Scott Brown is in the room, so we could ask him to come up and speak a little if we'd like as well. I don't know the other person, and I don't see anybody I don't know in the room. So if we would like to hear from Mr. Brown as well, I don't know. Your thoughts on that, Administrator Wynn?
I mean, you could. Absolutely. I do know that we are certain that in order to continue moving forward with this committee, we need a facilitator.
Yes.
I mean, I think I would go on the committee's feeling that they both seem equally qualified. If we feel that one was responsive in the last question, one was not, and that differentiates, then that's enough for me. Others?
I sort of feel the same way as trustee Tarnop, that the more complete response from potential facilitators is sort of weighs in their favor. So if it's up to us to hire or approve Scott Brown for a facilitator, I'd say let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah, and I would agree as well. I mean, all other things being equal, because again, both candidates seemed very well qualified. Yeah, all other things being equal.
I would have to back the other trustees on that too. I strongly agree with all three of them.
You need a motion?
I think we need a motion.
I move that we approve developing an agreement with Scott Brown to facilitate the. You have a better wording for
But
that?
yeah, I just think you need to, let's make sure it's clear that you're asking the staff.
Okay.
Mhm.
I move that we ask staff to work with Scott Brown to get an agreement in place for facilitating the short-term rental committee's work.
Second.
All in favor?
I
Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll move on to our last action and presentation, which is consideration of developing cleanup days program. All right, we're back to you, Town Administrator Wynn.
Yeah, so Robbie LaValle, the county administrator, sent an email that they are going to waive tipping fees for non-household trash. It is specifically for like a spring cleanup. And we haven't done that since I've been here. I think the program actually stopped several years before, and I think it was stopped because of abuses of the program, and that, at one point we were taking e-waste and it sat out at our wastewater lagoons in heaping piles for years. And so we're trying, I'm proposing, or we as staff are proposing, a cleanup days program, knowing that there would be, $650 in tipping fees waived. It cannot be household garbage. It has to be like bulk trash. And I was thinking if we scheduled this for after like the townwide garage sale, it could really help with residents that have trash service from us, with some pickup. Um, I gave a couple of ideas. Nothing has been completely fleshed out. But if you go to page 67, that's the letter from the county administrator about what we would get. And then page 69, I think. Yep, page 69 has a couple of options that we could do. If there is interest from the Board of Trustees, if you have interest in us doing that, we as staff will work on creating this program for pickup. We'll work with our Public Works team to find a proposal that works for them as well, because, even though we have no tipping fees, for this non-household trash, we will have staff time, and we will have, we'll expend fuel. We'll need to coordinate this. So it's not like it's just free. It's still going to have to be paid out of like the trash utility, but we'll develop a complete proposal based on whether or not the trustees want to move forward with like a cleanup days.
Can you describe a little bit more what sort of things you would expect people could bring? Since it can't be household trash. It seems like you said that in here. Can you find it was
Bottom of page 60.
couches?
Yep. So let's see. eligible things that could be brought would be like furniture, mattresses, appliances that don't have, that are non-refrigerated. So we're not going to take an air conditioner, we're not going to take a refrigerator. Um, and then general bulky household items, like if somebody has an old chair that they want to get rid of or a dining room table. Those are the kinds of things that, we would consider taking. Um, uh, I could see us taking I don't know, some mattresses, things like that. What we wouldn't take would be e-waste, refrigerated appliances, tires, paint, chemicals, batteries, all those kinds of hazardous materials. But what we would do is give a resource on where somebody can take them, and let them know, where they can go. Again, this program we haven't done this since I've been here, and I think several years before I got here. But it is something that came up, and I thought maybe you guys would be interested in it. Um, and so it's on an agenda for discussion.
So I'm sorry, could you just describe the recommended option, which says, under this approach, the town would designate a single day following the garage sale. Residents would be required to place approved materials curbside or deliver them to a designated collection point. So do we have the staff to pick that stuff up in one day from curb and at a single location?
Most likely, no. So from a single location, I think that would be the better option. And it would most likely be, um, it would be manned. We would have to have staff there to check garbage bills, make sure that, people that are participating in the program are actually trash customers of the town. Um, but to go and just, if we were to just do it curbside, because of the way that the county says the program operates, like on page 68, it says municipalities can use the waived fee credit for any purpose except routine household trash, tires, or to offset their municipal trash pickup charges at the landfill. So it cannot be something, it can't be normal household trash. So if we were to do curbside, it would require two routes for that day that we pick up bulk materials. So it's not commingled with normal household trash.
Other questions? Yes,
Well,
trustee Heck.
in my opinion, when I first read that, it was doing a curb pickup and you gotta prove that you have a thing. If they picked it up in the alleys, they already know who's paying and who's not. We've got the trash thing. I think you could save a lot of paperwork bothered by sticking it, instead of doing it on the curb, doing it in the back alley. That'd be my opinion.
And I think what he's saying is that you put that as a number two recommendation, but it's not either or. It's either you go to everybody's individual address and pick up stuff, or you'd rather have it be in one place on one day.
Right.
Is that right? So
Correct.
okay. So
Yeah.
So what
Or
trustee
it's
Heck is saying is one of the options you're providing, but it would be more labor intensive.
it would be and one of the concerns that I've heard from some people is that people from outside of our service area bring trash into town and we'll leave it next to one of a resident's trash can for pickup. Um, and so that's one of the concerns that got brought up to me as well. The only way to combat something like that would be to rent a roll-off dumpster, have that roll-off dumpster be at a place where people can bring their bulk items, and somebody is there, one, making sure there's no e-waste or refrigerated materials going in there or hazardous materials, and then they show that they're, with their blue card, that they are a trash customer of the town.
Trustee Torno?
I would love to have a cleanup day again. I'm wondering if, for consideration, an option might be to have a collection point. But if people are needing pickup, that there could be, they could opt to have to pay a fee to have the town come by and pick some things up from their house.
It's an excellent idea. That's something that could be considered in a proposal. But again, this is just to gauge whether or not you guys, as trustees, as a body, want us to pursue this or not. Not as much thought went into the proposals that were given, just because I didn't want to spend too much time on something that you may not have been interested in.
Just to check.
Yeah, Trustee Tarnum brought up a good point. There might be people that couldn't get to a location where there's a roll-off dumpster with a mattress. You know, if they only have a car, there might necessitate being picked up at their house.
Trustee Hunter.
I'd definitely be in favor of something like this. I like when we had it. I missed it when it was gone, and I know a lot of people missed it when it was gone. I also recognize the abuse that happened before because it was just a roll-off park near the skate park. It was just
bad.
Yeah,
Very bad.
So I love the idea of bringing it back with guardrails. Yeah, I'd be in favor of it. I'd also like to hear from Director of Public Works. Though.
It's the first time hearing of it, so
Okay.
Have anybody from the audience or on Zoom? Okay, seeing none. Trustee Turner.
I also think if there was a single point of collection that there could be townsfolk who would volunteer to help facilitate things at the site, if that's would be a useful thing for town staff.
Staff's gonna be difficult.
Speak up just a little bit.
That's a large project. Staff is gonna be difficult, and we're starting cleanup days, we're starting parks, we're starting lots of projects. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, the proposal is to just develop a plan, or have, staff develop a plan for a cleanup day. So I think we'd be safe in saying, let the staff think about it and decide what would be necessary to have a cleanup day.
If it's feasible.
Right.
To make that determination.
It's 6 free tons, right? $65 a ton, 10 free tons. Is what it boils down to, because it's $65 a ton. So did you all think about letting people know that if they called town hall for a week period and said, I'm gonna have a washing machine outside on my trash day, that you wouldn't just pick things up, people would have to make an appointment to pick it up. So it could be done during normal trash days. It would just require more trips to the landfill for sure, which is not, that $650, is that as free as it sounds? Because it's gonna take staff time and gas. And I don't know what it costs to get that trash truck down to Fairview Avenue, anyway, down there. So I don't know, is it a wash? I'm a little skeptical because it seems like staff time and gas we're gonna be paying. And people can put large things out, but they pay a fee for it to be picked up. So what essentially you're suggesting, Administrator Wynn, is that people have a time period where it's free up until you've created 10 tons. Is that
Yeah.
essential?
Yeah, and sorry, Nikki, this was the thing I forgot in our department head meeting. I know we had a couple of things we had forgotten about. But this is, you're absolutely right. And I think I made that clear at the very beginning when I said, yep, there's waive tipping fees, but there's going to be staff time associated with it and other resources to be able to do it. So there will be a cost, but I guess the determination becomes, is this a service that we want to provide to our residents or not? And as far as paying for it, right now, if you do have a bulk item, like we had some box springs that we put out, we had to pay the fee for that and get a sticker to put on those box springs to be picked up. That's how that program is working right now. If we were to, do this, it would be, we'll take your bulk items for free. Um, but the problem with, when somebody picks it up or picks up and tries to call it in, um, that's there's a chance that the trash truck will already have household garbage in it. And so we'll have to go back and forth to keep it from commingling. That would be the issue.
Could I throw out that, I think it's gonna be so helpful when we have the yard waste collection, which is gonna help a lot with our trash costs. Could we just say that that is a really good thing that the town is doing, and that's a perfect way of helping the residences and helping our costs. And not do this? It's just my thought. I don't know when that program's ready to be up and running, and it's not on the agenda to talk about, but that seems like one of the best things the town of Paonia is proposing is to deal with yard waste separately. That's gonna be a good cost savings, and I think people appreciate that all their yard waste isn't going to the landfill. So that's just my thought. Maybe that's the carrot.
I guess, and this is for another time, but maybe yeah, you might have more information than we have right now. I haven't seen the numbers on how it's gonna pencil out with the yard waste and.
I don't know.
Yeah, and it's gonna be additional staff time and, that too. So I'm just not sure, if it's necessarily gonna be a savings. I just wanna put that on the record.
I think they figured it would be because it's less trips to the landfill filled with yard waste. Is that right, Nikki? I mean, they're longer.
During this season, yard waste takes up the majority of our trash truck, so yeah, it's gonna say.
Okay.
It just hasn't started yet, so I don't have any numbers.
Okay. So anyway, I'm just throwing that out. I don't know.
I think it's a great idea. It needs to be fleshed out, but I'm not sure we should approve. Well, I have mixed emotions about it, actually. So, but since it is just directing the staff to develop a plan, I would think we could ask the staff to consider the possibilities of what it would take to have a cleanup day, and if it would be possible, and then bring it back to the council.
I got an opinion too. It's part of a bigger project that I'm worried about, and it's fire mitigation. It'll be a beginning, just getting rid of the stuff that comes. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we really need to address that.
What do you mean, get the stuff that
Fire
burns?
mitigation,
Uh-huh.
clean out the alleys.
So are you thinking that if people have couches in the alleys, it's a fire hazard?
They burn on it.
Right, but I would say that we don't allow people to leave couches in the alleys. They would have to pay to get it picked up. So in this case, you're suggesting if people can get it picked up for free, then
Well, it's just a start.
that they wouldn't have them in their backyard.
Yeah,
Guess, is that what you're thinking?
well, fire mitigation is one of those things that's real easy to kick the can, but until it isn't.
I guess
It's a big one.
I don't know if 10 tons is. Anyway. Go ahead, just Turner.
Need to address that problem. It's not.
I mean, we have had conversations in other meetings about the huge workload. It's unfortunate that this was not discussed in advance, between the two of you in your meeting. But I understand. And we have talked about, all the things on Public Works plate, that are really, really high priority and require focus and full-time effort. And so in that respect, I could, I'm much more sympathetic, especially this year, to perhaps say it's not the time because of just capacity, but to give it another consideration next year.
Sure.
Trustee Hunter?
Have we had public comment on this one yet?
I did ask, didn't I? Thought I did. I didn't? Yeah, no? No. Oh, anybody in the audience? Sorry. Okay, and nobody else who, okay, thank you. Yeah. Because I just want to say if, yes, go ahead.
Since I man most of the phones, I can tell you in the 3 years I've been here, I've received maybe 10 inquiries about cleanup. That's it.
Right about the time when Hotchkiss announces theirs.
Yeah.
And they get a call, when are we doing ours?
Yeah.
They're like, we're not doing it anymore. It's like, well, Hotchkiss is doing it. Well, that's Hotchkiss.
Does Hotchkiss do their own trash pickup or is it Roberts? It's commercial. Yeah, so they're not doing it themselves, so that's a little different.
And just to put it in perspective, like the trash truck only holds between like 9 to 12 tons-ish. So it's just a trash truck, which can fill up very fast if you have a couple of mattresses, because then you're looking at volume out of swing. So to put that into perception, the trash truck full is what we're talking about.
Can you use a flatbed or a pickup to pick up those big items and take them to the landfill instead of the trash truck?
We could have more coordination to do it and strapping it down and tying it down, make sure we can get there. But I don't know if I put 450 on the highway.
Oh, the big one, yeah. Well. Anybody want to make a motion, see how it goes?
So I move that we not move forward with planning or implementing a trash cleanup day this year, but keep the option open for consideration next year and years to come.
Need a second?
I'll say.
Okay, for discussion on the question?
I'm torn because I don't even recall honestly the specific circumstances, but I know I've heard from community members in town that they value those cleanup days. I've seen how sideways they gone. I recognize that it would take staff time and how hard that is. I'm just torn. I think it would be nice to pass those savings that were offered from the county onto our community members. I think it's a nice thing to offer, but I also understand how under pressure Public Works is.
Anybody else? Is it time to vote? Yeah.
Well, I think if we asked staff to develop a plan and come back to us for approval anyway. So I think we ought to go ahead and recommend that the staff,
Well, we already have a motion on the floor that needs to be voted on.
sorry,
So that could be depending on.
Withdraw my second again? To do that.
No.
We got it covered, huh?
Yeah, we've got a motion and a second. I'll ask for all in favor.
I
Aye.
Okay, so that's 3-2. I'm assuming
Nay.
all in nay. Okay, so 3-2. Okay, so that motion passes to postpone it till the future year.
I just could make another comment. I've been in communities where it has been much more of a, community organization, sponsored. I mean, obviously you need Public Works involved, but a lot of the horsepower on it came from a community group that really took the lead and organized it year after year. So they just get better and better. So for future consideration, it'd take much more advanced work, but I think that's worth considering.
All right, well,
I
Yeah.
understand that this creates a lot of pressure on Public Works too. However, there has been an increase of furniture and other appliances being dumped at our free pile right now. And it looks like a total and complete disaster over there. So maybe like considering this in the future would be fine, because if we keep on making that corner where that free pile is, it's just a complete mess. Our town looks like a dump when everything is there.
hey. Thank you, trustee Majorado. I don't want to go too deep in that since it's not an agenda item, that's all.
But it's part of the trash, though. People are going to keep on throwing their trash there.
Right, but I don't want us to go down that rabbit hole tonight. Because
Okay.
it is an issue that needs to be discussed at some point.
Right.
But thank you. So there is a STR summary, I believe, at the end of the packet. We have two STR members here. Do you want to go through any of this? Administrator Wynn or Trustee Meserado? We've kind of covered a lot of it in our meeting tonight. I'll leave it up to either of you or we'll adjourn.
Yeah, I think we covered this, and as Mayor Pro Tem Hunter has said a few times, or Trustee Hunter,
Did you? Don't do that to me.
is that we've discussed this ad nauseum tonight, this report.
Do you want to hand out disbursement? Oh, God, I forgot. Yep. Hey, we will adjourn here momentarily after we get signatures on our disbursement.
Actually, I'll come in and sign tomorrow.
Okay. You need a pen? Okay. Thank you. And I'll adjourn. And I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone.